I come and I check in to see what is going on. And a lot of people are, as we call, under the weather. They're like very emotional and they're not doing so great. And especially Amy, as you and Troy know about what's going on in Iran right now. Women of Iran are like becoming legend. Time magazine is covering the story. So, so we're just trying to hang in there.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give them as much courage as I can and to be strong. And hopefully this will come to an end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, yes. So let's get started. Amy, do you want to start today? Would you like to introduce yourself? By the way, guys, everyone, all of my followers, if you haven't yet followed Amy and Trido, I know you already have. He's our monk celebrity at the moment. So
really is.
If
he really is.
Yeah, you have probably followed him, but if you haven't, please do so. And we're going to let Amy start the live today.
Yeah, so welcome. Thank you so much for having me, and welcome everyone into this space. It's wonderful to meet both of you. I'm best known for my tarot readings on TikTok as a byproduct of TikTok, but I'm also a life coach. I'm a spiritual mentor. I am a hypnotherapist as well, with a goal and intention to have people use tarot and astrology and hypnosis, all of these different modalities, to actually be in their life and to be living in their life in states of joy and flow and not overwhelmed and with a regulated nervous system. I think so. That's really my goal. I think, and not to come in with a hot take, but there's so much escapism and people wanting to be outside of their lives. And my goal is to really anchor people into being in this human experience, in states, like I said, of joy and flow. And so I pull in a ton of life experience, but also various, certifications and studies to help people achieve that. So that's my mission. That's my mission.
Awesome. Really nice.
God.
Yeah, and our topic today is how astrology can guide us through our life path. So we're going to hear your side, Amy, and then we're going to move on to Trido to see, what does he think? I don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, I find, so first of all, I have to disqualify myself a little bit here. I tap more into intuitive astrology than actually, I don't necessarily have a professional background in astrology like I do with the tarot. But one of the things that I learned is that oftentimes when I'm doing a tarot reading, I was tapping into people's astrological cycles. And so once I made that connection, I started pulling the charts and using that in conjunction with the tarot. Now, the way that I use it is I like to identify within the chart the larger narrative or the meta story, the season that somebody can be in their life. I think astrology is a wonderful tool for the season and the overarching themes, right? And then I like to use the tarot for, let's say, like the obstacles that one might be experiencing, the individualized subconscious patterns that somebody might be experiencing, the obstacles, maybe the relationships that might be holding somebody back. And so that's how I use astrology as a very practical tool, is more so just to jump into what season of life somebody is in, which is so useful. And then I turn to the tarot for the more practical aspects of coaching and helping somebody. Because I just think that understanding that you're in your Saturn return is wonderful, but understanding how you can use that energy is a totally different thing. So that's how I use astrology.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you want to do it today, Amy? Do you want to go through tarot at some point today?
I mean, I can kind of let you drive the session, and however, I'm happy to maybe pick somebody and do a reading, or we can do a general pull. That's totally fine. Yeah. I would also be curious to know how our friend here uses astrology also.
She's passing it on to you. We can see it clearly. Try. Can you move it a little bit more into the middle? I couldn't read it.
I was teasing you guys. This is Buddhism reading cards.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
That's great.
There's nothing better than have an expert in astrology here, and then you play with them. You're like, Buddhism. We have reading cards too, you know.
I love it. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I just wanted to listen to you guys for a little bit before I gave my input from a Buddhist standpoint of view on it. So you guys take lead first, and I'll jump in, towards the middle or towards the end. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna get started because I was fascinated by astrology ever since I was a kid. And although we cannot stereo cats, but there are a lot of common themes that we see. And one of my brother, he did a deep study into astrology when I was a child, and he came out with so many commonality between each sign that they were so profound. When I look at all the Leos or all the Libras, they have for me, I can always pinpoint a Leo, the way they are so OCD and they are so detail oriented.
Yes.
And you can see the way they dresses up. I was just at the bank the other day, and I was talking to this financial advisor, and I said, by any chance, are you a Virgo? And he was like, yeah. How do you know? I said, I can see right through you. The way his jackets, everything is so profound.
Yeah.
Even the nails is so cleaned up and so proper and everything.
Yeah.
So, but I generally think people always love to have a guideline. And I think astrology, it's one of the tools where we can know about ourselves a little bit more. We know where we're coming from. And also a good, I did a joint live with Stephen a couple of weeks ago, and he's a Vedic astrologist.
Yes.
And sometimes, he's been, he has a spiritual guru for many, many years. So every time he wants to read a chart, he has to meditate for a couple of hours, sometimes days. But sometimes we're talking on the phone and I just randomly talk about someone. And then he's like, by any chance, do you know what month and day and year? And as I give it to him, he's so accurate about everything that comes out about the person.
Yes.
So I think astrology in general would be a good tool for us to know where we're going. And I studied astrology myself a few years back, although I'm more pro-Vedic astrology.
Yes.
I believe is much deeper and much more accurate.
Yeah.
But it really helps the person to know, as we look at the whole chart. It's like when you look at somebody's whole chart, it's just like looking at the 4 levels of spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical. And then you can see the whole thing, why are they here? The way the planets are sitting and the effects they have on the whole chart. When you look at everything into details, you can tell a person a lot about why are they here and what are their life lessons and so on and so forth.
Yes.
So that's my side of it. Coming back to you, Amy, and then you're going to pass it around to
No, I think you make some really good points, and I think I also work with a Vedic astrologer. Usually, every couple of weeks, just to get an idea and to get a feel. But yeah, I mean, I think astrology is just a critical tool, like I said, of transformation and of understanding. I think just when we're born into this incarnation with all of this existential question, why are we here? What are we doing? What's the meaning of all of this? I really find that, yes, those indicators are hints and clues in the birth chart, right? And of course, there's karmic aspects to it. There are things, like this last cycle of astrology that we went through. I was really coaching my clients around letting go of the karmic stories, letting go of the heavy things that we're carrying. Let's pivot onto a more dharmic path. And excuse me if I'm out of my language here with that, but also understanding though too. And I think as astrology gains popularity, it can't be a tool that takes you out of your life and that you're obsessed with figuring out what this is. And you know what I mean? I think it's a fine line. I think there's a time to use it and metabolize it and integrate the lessons of it and to understand maybe why things are happening or whatever. But I think it's important that it doesn't become such an overbearing part of our lives that we're taking ourselves out of what's actually happening and out of the present moment. And I see that a lot with, with the virality of tarot and astrology on TikTok is, so many people, like this full moon that just happened. I mean, there were so much people fear mongering and it's going to be this, and it's like, but I remind people, but you still need to be in your life and feel how this experience is for you as an individual. It doesn't, where the moon is and all of these things have an impact, but it doesn't have to take you out of anything. You can still be on your path and not get distracted by it. And I sometimes think the need to distract ourselves, that there's also a fine line with that as well, and wanting to be too much in the predictions of things and using it more as something that alleviates our anxieties and is a self-soothing tool. I think we also need to be kind of careful of that. Like with anything, too much is too much. And, and so it has to really... There has to be a balance with it, I think. So yeah. And the other thing I want to say that I find fascinating about astrology also is that, as you move through the astrology wheel, Aries, we're building on the life, right? So if you're standing in the first house of the chart, that's the self, and then the second house, the body, the third house, communication, the fourth house, the home and family, like each sign informs the next sign too. So it really is it's a progression that I would like to think over lifetimes that we live all of these different positions in our lives and planetary positions. But anyway, that was a little off.
Amy, it was great. Tell us what you think about astrology.
I don't know anything. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love playing with you guys.
I know.
I'm like, you're the monk here. What you got for me?
So, a lot of people are skeptic about astrology and everything that we are discussing today because science doesn't back it up. However, when we look at the historical context of this practice, dates back, oh my goodness, it dates back Greece, Rome, medieval, Hindu, Islamic, Europe. It dates back, a very long time. So before our clock, before our calendars, people looked up to the moon, the star, the sky, the planet to make sense of their world, to predict certain things happening, and to understand human nature. Therefore, science is now catching up to a lot of things. I mean, Buddhism, for example, the Buddha have already said so many things about the human mind and conditions, and now science is like, oh, well, we're just now concurring to what the Buddha had said. So yeah, sorry, we took a long time. Yeah. So a lot of, I imagine in this particular field that there are ongoing empirical data that is being generated. But however, so far, when you look at budsas.org, budsas.org, or if you put in full moon and the Buddha on Google, they will give you a article. This is coming from the book What Buddhists Believe, which is what I previously said those who are new to Buddhism should go into. And we see that all of the significant events of the Buddha happened on full moons. And I have to pull this up in front of me and to say it in front of me, just because so that people don't think I'm making this stuff up, and that it is in factual in the text of what we study from. So, um, so the religious significance, especially on full day, because certain important outstanding events connected with the life of Lord Buddha took place on full moon days. The Buddha was born on a full moon day. His renunciation took place on full moon day. His enlightenment, the delivery of his sermon, and passing away into Nibbana and other important events associated with his lifespan of 80 years occurred on full moon days. So again, we need to really go and ask why these things happen. And doctors have already opined in the same article that people with certain medical conditions are aggravated within those periods. I would say, and this is my personal opinion, that karma tend to act up on full moon days for people with certain medical conditions such as asthma. I think I saw bronchitis on here. From what invariably find their sickness aggravated during such periods. Researchers have found that certain phases of the moon not only affects humans and animals, but also influence plant life and other elements, low tides, high tides, and other overpowering influence of the moon. So, from my observation, and my own only, has nothing to do with my tradition or Buddhism, is that, karma tends to ripen in certain days and times of the year. It is also believed in our Vietnamese culture that at age 33, between like 31 to 34, people tend to die. 49, 59, and I think it stops at 69. These are the ages, very dangerous ages, that one has to really watch closely how karma could be unfolding against them. And people tend to pass away within these eras. In regards to the astrological signs, there are some truths to these things. Everything that we're discussing today, there are some truths to them. And you all have to forgive me for using careful words, because people can use this against me down the road. They're like, oh well, he's all for astrology and blah, blah, blah. For example, I am a Gemini, and there is two sides of me. There is this very serious and strict side of me, and then there's this goofy side of me that the world rarely gets to see, only if you hang out with me on the weekend and I'm out there playing extreme sports. So knowing that, when these astrological signs give us clues and cues about our personality, style, disposition, we can use the teachings of the Buddha to live and make amendments wisely and intelligently, and need not to fall under the astrological impressions that people think they have of us. It's so funny when the Gen Zoomers or even millennials like me who are clueless about these things, they're like, excuse me, what kind of sign are you? And then, I don't know, you throw out Leo, Virgo, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and then they're like, oh yeah, you're a freaking bad, you definitely really good at sex, or oh yeah, you're gonna have a lot of girls coming after you. Or it's so funny when they jump to global conclusions based on what the astrological signs have been circulating around for God knows when.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if the astrological sign says that you are more promiscuous than others, well, just look at it and ask yourself if it's true, and how well is it serving you. It would be the Buddhist standpoint, and the Buddha, if the Buddha was here asking you, the Buddha would be like, so you were born on that day, and with all your behaviors, how well is that working out for you? So hey, if you are not hurting yourself or other people, the Buddha would say, hey, have at it, Mr. Leo, have at it, Miss Gemini, Sagittarius. But you know, I've had readings before, and there were truths to some of these readings that people have given me, and because I believe some of it, and some I have to scan for see if it's accurate and consistent with who I am. And then wherever I can make changes to make myself a better person, that is what I call using the best available science for self change, growth, and development.
Yes, I love that. What you just said, I love that. Yeah.
You know, you were just saying, sorry, Amy, to cut you out. I just, something just came to me, and that is like, I'm a Taurus, right? And I do a lot of sessions with all signs, and it happens that I know a few Tauruses we are supposed to be the most grounded signs of the zodiac. And I have encountered some Taurians that are so far away from being grounded and just so airy fairy and all that. So what if I just got a download that this has something to do also with your age, right? So as you get older and you gain more emotional and mental maturity, your behaviors and everything changes, right? So I was just, as Trado was talking, I just looked back and I looked at my younger age, which I didn't resemble a Taurus at all. I was more conveying a Gemini, very like double personality. I wanted to be this, and then the next day I wanted to be this, and so hypered up and so up in the air that a lot of people said to me, they were like, how do you survive? How do you live? Like, that's how airy I was. So when I looked at this, I'm like, okay, even though we might come as one sign, but during the years, as we age and we gain maturity, our personality and our behaviors will change too, right?
Yes. And I think it's very evolutionary astrology also addresses this, right? So that's the span of who you are in a lifetime. And I think the progressed chart in your natal chart also addresses this. It is the long-term trajectory of the evolution of your sign. Now, it's also worth noting that there's so many other forces at play in your chart other than just the sun sign, right? Really looking at the moon, how you emote. We're looking at the rising sign. So there's a lot, and your chart ruler also has to do with, your suchness, as they say. But so it's more than just the one sign at play at any given time. But also, it's true over the span of a lifetime. It's the evolution of the sign. It's the sign as it moves through the degrees. And I know in Vedic astrology, this is a really important thing that, if something is in its infantile, if there's a planet at 1 degree and it's in its infantile stage, it's this initial Jupiter that's young and hopeful, and it has a different impact energetically on your chart than a Jupiter at 29 degrees, right? It's less evolved, and so that's a very lovely observation, and it's also very true, and it's addressed in Stephen Forrest's work, and it's also addressed in a progressive chart. So yeah.
And something else is like, according to Western astrology, my rising sign is in Libra, and in Vedic astrology, my rising sign is a Virgo, and I am so much more a Virgo when it comes to OCD, being so detail oriented. So that's also something to keep into consideration. That's why I said in Vedic astrology, I find it much more accurate because I never really that much connected or being related to a Libra as I see myself so much as a Virgo.
You have so many tenets of Libra, like the beauty. You're so beautiful, and Libra's symmetry and balance, and they enjoy beauty. And I can just tell by the orchid that's placed behind you, it's a very well thought out aspect of beauty. And I would venture to say that this little clip here is just a snapshot of what house looks like, of what, the very simplistic, beautifully Venetian ruled tenets of Libra. So
yeah, but I'm also a Taurus. Yeah.
Yes. Which is also Venetian ruled, right? It's ruled by Venus. So yeah.
When it comes to tarot, I mean, how did you start getting interested? I mean, you're a coach and you're doing hypnosis and all this stuff. How did you come up into tarot?
I've always been quite psychic since I was a child, and I have had quite a few mystical experiences from the time I was a child. Just throughout my life, I've had quite a few experiences, and so the tarot really is a way for me to practically apply the information that I'm receiving, and to impact people's lives, and so. And it also comes with a degree of an educational background in mythology and philosophy and archetypal studies. And so it's kind of like the perfect storm for me to be able to sit with people in a really meaningful way. But I didn't start doing it professionally until, when COVID hit. People were so afraid. And it was such a frightening time. And so I literally just got on Instagram. And I'd been doing tarot my whole life. But I just got on Instagram and I thought, you know what? My mentor, Michael Mead, taught me, you've got to give what you came here to give. Like, you'll know when it's time, and you have to give the gift that you came to give. And so during COVID, I started doing readings for people and just supporting people and being like, hey, all of this stuff is happening, but we are alive. There's light. There's something here. There's optimism. I was really trying to support people. And so, and that's also when that aspect of that part of my career really took off. And so now I just do it professionally. I have a really robust business here in Santa Fe and online, of course. And so, yeah, but it's just, it's a way for me to use my gifts.
Beautiful. I just got something else if you guys want to go with it. How about if you do the tarot for each sign and we just tune in, try DNI and see energetically what can we add to what you're doing? What do you think? Try it. Does that sound good?
I don't have any objections.
You come from your monkish side and I come from my whatever side.
Okay, so I would like to suggest that maybe you guys pick a couple signs that we can look at, and I can kind of tap into it.
How about do you want to do Gemini, since I saw so many guys? Amy, are you also a Gemini?
I'm a Gemini, yes, with a Scorpio rising. So yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So since we have two Gemini here, let's do Gemini.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Tridie, I honestly missed you so much that you would not believe.
Oh, I'm still here. I'm late. I'm like almost three weeks late of submitting my book. They're not happy right now with me. So.
Oh, come on. I was almost gonna come to Miami before all the stuff start hitting. So I was like, no, I don't think so. I'm not gonna go right now. I'll just wait it out a little bit.
Okay. So the energy here is we have the Queen of Pentacles with the Six of Cups in reversed. So what this indicates to me that potentially there's a Gemini out there in the world, or it could be us, and we are there's something financial at stake here, but there's an old pattern around money. There's an old collapsed narrative around money that needs to be released so this person can move on. The Queen of Pentacles and the Six of Cups in reversed. Also, this has to do with somebody who wants to invest in and bet on themselves, and who keeps getting caught up in this old childhood storyline about their self-worth and what their value is in the world, right? The energy that you're being asked to step up into, if this is resonating with you, is the Strength card. And the Strength energy often indicates a need to be brave when stepping out into the spotlight. This card is ruled by Leo. And so it's the dance between the ego and the vulnerability, and the dance between the ego and a value system that's really anchored in self-worth instead of the projection of the ego out into the world for all of the fancy bells and whistles, those types of things. I'm also picking up on somebody who might have, who's afraid to be seen. There's energy around somebody that's afraid to be seen. Like they shy away from the spotlight, not because it's not what they want, but because of maybe something that's happened in their past. That's been a really vulnerable place for them to be. But it is time to break through that and step up into the value of the Queen of Pentacles and the native strength that the Strength card actually wants to give you. So that's a really beautiful, this economic, these finances are going to come in, but it's just a little bit more of the undoing of the storyline. And I know I talk about the storyline a lot, but it really is what makes up our lives. Whatever storylines this person has around keeping themselves safe, like if I show you who I really am, you won't love me type of thing, it's time to release that storyline, and it's time to really step into the expansion. There's a lot of optimism, and there's a lot of things that want to come in that this storyline is blocking. And so that would be my word of advice for this wily Gemini, is to please let go of the story, and it's time to be unafraid. It's time to be big and bold in your asks, and not allow this to hold you back anymore.
Tridy?
Yeah, that's about 97% accurate. That is about actually 98.9% accurate. Yeah, it is. You all know that in regards to the ego, we all have it, and I too have it. You know, I'm not a fully enlightened being, and even if I was, I still can't tell you guys. But there's this side of me that wants to run into the forest and not do the stuff and just retire from my programs just because it's because of the data that I have collected in regards to human change and progress. And then there's this other side of me that says, you do realize in the world there's only like 4 of you guys. What I termed the Buddhist terminology of Buddhist cardinals. The cardinals are known in the Catholic world as the prince of the church. And so they just kind of oversee things, and you know, they have very high influence. They have a lot of followers. They've been around for a very long time. So I created and coined the term Buddhist cardinals, is because there's only a few of us, probably like 4 or 5 in the whole wide world of this generation that is inspiring millions, and I'm one of them in there. And I'm just like, you know, I told myself that the conversation in my head was like, you should join the other cardinals and have conversations on how you guys are going to change Buddhism and the way, how the trajectory of how this is going to go. And you know, yeah, so there's praise and there's blame associated with being a spiritual leader, and so I'm stuck in that dilemma of the tug of war back and forth. And I think the reason why the book is 3 weeks late in submitting is because I have reservations about submitting it and what I really want to say and what I want the world to know in my book. And if anyone have ever profiled my teachings, I'm very deep, very, very deep, very philosophical. And I was trained, and received my education from a world-renowned college that emphasizes world change, literally systemic change. Yeah, so God, man, I feel so exposed when you said that. I was like, wow, she just read me.
Just
But
something.
yes, go ahead.
I'd like to say something. What the immediate message that's coming through, if this is really relating to you that much, the light that was promised to you will be delivered.
Mm.
But it's in the vulnerability of you putting yourself out there that it makes me a little emotional about. It's like the universe just rushes in with all of this abundance and love, and it's not, there's praise involved, but it's not the praise of like, this is your best-selling book. There's something about this process and about you fully opening up to this process that feels really vulnerable or questionable to you, but it's almost the thing that most needs to happen. And there's something God forbid that I say this to a Buddhist monk, but there's something karmically tied here. There's material for a lesson here. Does that resonate?
Well, I owe nothing and I want nothing. I just want to make an impact into the world. But when we talk about material things, because I've been advocating for a meditation center, most recently in my whole 8 years of being a monk. Most recently, I've been quite adamant about the fundraising for it. But I have to cite the Vinaya, which is the rules for monk, the monastic rule, because we can't ask for money. We can only make a compelling case, and if people are moved, they would support our cause. So that would be probably the only material subject that is in my life. But then it goes back to me wanting to jump into the forest, because being aggressive in trying to get a meditation center of modern day monk, people would scratch their head and say, well, this is a little far off than what the Theravada tradition would do. And people will be inspired by and through your own change, Jidao, and they will find you in the forest, and the rare few will find you, and you will lead the rare and the few. And you need not to create propaganda. You need not to market Buddhism. Just preserve the integrity and purity of the Dhamma and Vinaya, and be blameless as you possibly can be in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to come in and go ahead, Amy.
Yeah, I stand corrected. I should not have said that but there seems.
Well,
I
well, you're being honest, and I have decided to be transparently good, is what I call it. Transparently good. That means I am transparent and uniform with donations when they come in, why I am talking about it, who is making it, in what amount, and it's a very uniform practice, unlike any other monk anywhere in the world. There's things that I do that no monk in the world has ever done. Like, I've already consented to a warrantless search. So if you're federal government, you can come in and check wherever I live, wherever I don't even have a car in my name. You can check my phones, you know what I mean? So it's a very transparent lifestyle, so that people don't have this shadow of suspicion, like he's young, he's asking for a donation or whatever. Why does he have a couple of phones and all these technologies to get on TikTok? So
we need you, and we need you. That's why.
Yeah. But yeah, but thank you for that reading. I mean, part of stepping forward and living this public life is that one has to be vulnerable, and one has to. I'm an open book. I mean, you could turn any page. I've never killed anyone. I've never hurt anybody in my life. I've never been convicted of a crime, not even a misdemeanor. Anyone can look that up. Anyone can look me up on the FBI background check and realize that he's never been convicted of any crime. So I don't really, you know what I mean? Celebrity monk, we don't exempt praise or blame, just like any other celebrities out there. What is most important that defines my life is how I came, how I contributed to humanity, and how I leave. And that's it, just like everybody else. It's a very simple life. We think simple, we live simple.
Yeah.
I wanted to come into what I picked up from your two cards, Amy. Is that the energy that I picked up is the trauma in our childhood that hasn't been resolved and is still here. It's
Yes.
right here.
Yes.
So in this energy, what I picked up is that duality of pull and push, like being pulled on two different directions. So in a way, I picked up that I have so much sorrow about what happened to me and who I wanted to be, and my how I thought the life would be, and how different it is today. And also, I'm being pulled on the other side, which is the basic energy is confusion and what do I want to call it? Discontentment, and that duality of even not being certain who I have to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like who I'm showing myself, which is related to what you said, Amy. Who I'm showing myself to be outside is not my authentic self. And it's like every day I have to adjust that because it's not real me. So it doesn't come naturally and authentically. So it's like every day I'm checking. Was that right? Did I need to lower it down? Did I talk right? It's like you constantly, it's such a bad stage as like, how did I being perceived from the outer world? What did they think of me? Did I talk too much? Was I so? There's something that I said was it wrong? So that's what I picked up.
Yeah.
And it's all basically coming from not really accepting the past of my childhood and the traumas and what happened. And I always think that we only can overcome this stage of moving towards our childhood trauma is by coming up to a higher level of consciousness. That everything that I have experienced had to be experienced. And if we really understood that there's a divine plan, there's like a higher like from before we came here, there's a divine plan that no matter how we would have acted out or what we would have choose, it's just kind of like we are thinking that we could have acted out differently or we could have chose differently, and we don't believe on a higher divine plan that no matter how much we thought that we could have done differently, we just couldn't. So if we could come up to this, that accept that everything that happens till now is just by divine plan and a higher consciousness that knows better, then how much easier we would feel in our body and how much better we could come up acting out in this world.
I think at the root of some of that, I think people need to forgive themselves, and people need to forgive people that have hurt them. And I think I've spent the last 51 years of my life acting in response to a lot of things that happened to me in my childhood. And it wasn't until my 51st year that I was able to forgive my father. And as I say that, I just got chills, but it's like I had to forgive him, but then I also had to forgive myself for the consistent and constant way I kept acting out of turn because I was in direct opposition to the things that he did to me. But this was throughout my entire life, the ways I behaved to destroy my own life, the ways I behaved that hurt other people. I had to forgive myself for that. And it was through the forgiveness of my father that I forgive myself, through the forgiveness of myself that I forget, that thing. And as basic and as much as that concept is taught, I feel as though I've had some lived experience with that. And that's what kind of bumps you over. It's like God will just bump you over and be like, okay, now you can act in alignment with who you were meant to be, because all of these other timelines are absolved. And give it to God, you know?
Yeah, I think all of us have that childhood thing that ties us down, and it is our attachment to it that ties us down. And letting it. Yeah, I've counseled people who are 80 years old and still hang on to anger about their mom, and they tell me, they're like, Venerable, I just want to taste peace one last time before I die. And I was like, you've been hanging on to this anger for 80, 60 years, like, oh my God. But the easiest and simplest way is to see ourselves as visitors on this planet, and that, even if you are a murderer, even if you have murdered somebody, you can still become a saint in Buddhism, even if that was your mistake. In the story of Angulimala, who killed 999 people, and the Buddha was going to be the 1000th victim, and he was able to change and amend. So when we look at ourselves as a visitor on this planet that, due to causes and conditions, made us act out the way that we did, and then we did the foolish things that we did, either it is being rejected, running away, being arrested, going to jail, going to prison, just homelessness and drugs, alcohol abuse, addiction, and trauma, and just not personalizing it would make yourself unlimitless. When we attach onto these narratives and we live and we think that we're unlovable, we're a bad person because of what we did, and we're just recycling that over again, that's a vicious, depressive cycle that will keep you from living the true, authentic life. And before, and again, I hope to inspire everyone buying through my own changes, because I was not an angel growing up. I guarantee you that. There's police knocking on my door every single night. they return the boys will be boys, just like Jay Shetty. Jay Shetty, before he became a monk, he was a very aberrant young man, and so he publicly said that he had multiple relationships. He was fooling around in school. He didn't want to follow instructions or directions carefully. The people who become leaders nowadays, you look at their life, it is all over the place. And I was just one of them. I was an aberrant young man. I just did not like to follow rules. And again, the police had to return me back home every single night. And they're like, y'all need to get your child, because we are tired of chasing after him, and he's a menace to this city. But because of all of the mistakes, the collective mistakes, my God, my legal fees is like $200,000 alone. But because of that, look at the mistakes all of us have made. But because of that, that's what makes us who we are today. That's what makes me wise. It's because I've been making unwise choices all my life. So no wonder why I became the wisest person the world has ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And there are people that always find dirt somewhere, or known me back then, and they're like, oh yeah, he cheated, he lied, he stole, he did all these things. And I'm just like, yeah, well, I'm not doing that today. This means that I have changed. Don't you understand? And so I don't have to, we don't have to justify ourselves to anybody. What's important in Buddhism is that we use astrology, we use these things to make sense of our world, and to understand our past, to understand where we're at, and to understand how this could propel the future for us to become who we're going to become and who we're going to operate as. Because, I mean, who do you want to be remembered as after you die? And using everything here, including everything that I have discussed previously, will help shape a better you. And the world is embraced. The world can't wait to hear your stories. They can't wait to hear how much you've messed up. They can't wait to hear, how you've changed. They can't.
Would I be drinking wine in the gas station bathroom, totally addicted to alcohol, like not able to, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, let's talk about that.
I have reserved. You wanted to hear the stories, Amy, but I have reserved the stories in my head for when the time is right, I will come forth with some stories that the world's gonna. I need to publish the book first before they start scratching their head and like, oh my goodness, you did that when you were young. It would never cross our mind that you would do something like that. But
Heidi, I got something else.
yes,
I got another download for you specifically. You don't even have to write the book. You just have to become the hugging monk. Just for people to hug you because you're so adorable. You become like Mama Hug.
I feel that too.
Yeah. So just become a Mama Hug, or that's it.
you know,
They have to hug you, and they just have to feel good.
You know, I cry when the world is not watching. I cry all the time. Actually, I can go in the shower and cry my eyes out. I've watched so many students die in 1 year. It's not even funny. And it's like I don't have to try so hard in trying to get people to follow Buddhism. I just have to be me. And this is what the world sees with through buying through all of my teachings and concerns for humanity, the genuine concern for humanity. You see that. You see that I'm willing to open up my life. And this is a life of all giving. Give more and take less. I don't care about my narrative. I don't care about my past. I don't care about anything. I am just just a visitor. A young man who came, not from a undesirable family background, had more thorns than roses in his life. People think that this smile is like, oh yeah, he had it all. It was a perfect. It wasn't. It wasn't real. Truly hit rock bottom, was suicidal. Had legal problems, had all sorts of relationship problems, and now I'm bringing it to the table. This is what it means to be human in the world. This is what it means to be. And the Buddha was the same way. The Buddha done partied. He had more girls than you can count in the palace. He made mistakes. He felt the pain of humanity.
Oh, come on, tried you. I thought Buddha was a virgin.
Oh no, he had more girls than I could count.
Trido, please try this. Just try this. Next time when you're doing your TikTok live, just go somewhere on the street and just say, I'm here to hug. Put a platform, hugging monk, and see how many people will come to you and how your life will just flourish to even over 1 million people to come. Do it.
I would do that, actually. I would do that. And
thank you.
Can I ask, do you live in a city?
I do. St. Petersburg.
Oh, Florida.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not St. Petersburg, Russia.
Amy, let's move on. Next sign they've been asking is Taurus. Enough about Trida.
Enough.
Yes. Sudi, I want to hear about Sudi.
No, it's not about me. We got to move in because a couple of people asked me, Taurus, please.
Okay, Taurus.
But yeah, Trido, let me know how that life when you're hugging people.
I'm waiting for you to come here and visit me so we can do it together. You're supposed to do a retreat with me, remember?
Yeah, one of my clients, she was begging me to go there and stay with her for a couple of weeks, and I was like, oh, I'm so busy because I'm trying to really get on my workshop, starting it, and I can't finish it. It's just like, ew. Anyway, let's be quiet for Amy.
I want to be involved in workshops and things that you guys are doing, so keep me posted.
Okay, Amy.
Amy gets front seat.
Maybe I'll host you in Santa Fe. You should come to Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yes.
Let's do it.
We can.
Trido?
We can.
Yeah.
I just
we'll
need.
do it. We come there.
Okay. This is very interesting for Taurus. Excuse me, let me move my chair over. So there's been a conflict of some sort, and this can be a conflict that's happened in the outer landscapes of your life, or it can be an internal conflict that you've been asked to just simply walk away from. a lot of times when we're in this Five of Swords position, what I like to tell clients is sometimes you have to put everything down and walk away so you can come in at a different level. And that's what I'm really perceiving in this Taurian energy. Now, once again, this is tied to something that is subconscious. It is something that is driving you, that's running the show, and it's time to let go of it. There is an opportunity here underneath this full moon. This is the moon card. There's an opportunity to extract the deep treasure that is buried within. I'm hearing the God-like seed within you. There is an opportunity for that to be revealed for you, but you've got to get quiet and you've got to rest. You've got to rest in the laurel. I'm just seeing like this sitting back and just letting it all go. So this can emerge from you, really. And how the light of this moon has really it's shown you the corners, and it's shown you the darkness, and it's shown you the parts of yourself that you might not have loved, but it's time for you to move on and come out and stepping into this new path that your life wants to take you on. It's a path of sharing. Now with that, this revelation, this thing that you found about yourself, it wants you to then initiate a new cycle of something with it. Whether this means we are teaching other people, whether this means you are writing your own book, there is something that wants to be ignited, that wants to be initiated. It could also have to do with relationships. But I want to also say this. For some of you, this is about you declaring that the gift that you've just received about yourself and the understanding that you've had about yourself and what maybe a deeper level of what your purpose is, that this actually belongs to you. Some of you want to give it away and say, no, it was my friend who helped me through this hard time, or you don't want to take full ownership and full credit for your own gifts and for your own genius and for your own beauty. And what's coming through here is this ownership of self and this ownership of the divine that rests within you. And it is a relationship between you and the divine now. And that's really what's coming through. It's Aries energy. So it wants to be direct and it wants to be abrupt. And it wants to say, I am this and I am that. And what I'm picking up on is the edges of that are a little bit more soft, and you understand that this is something that will be given throughout time, and it's this divine thread that you're following. And it potentially leads to some dollar bills. but it also leads to fulfillment, and it leads to you becoming a resource either in your community or just to the people around you. And that's what I would have to say about Taurus.
Thank you so much, Amy. I pin Erica and also Afsun that she keeps asking, please read for Taurus. She said, absolutely, it resonated. And this is Erica. She says, crying with the Taurus reading, hitting me deep. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad that resonated for you, that message. You have something to give, just as my mentor once told me. If you came here with something to give, and it can help heal people. The moon card is Piscean energy, so it's about allowing, the healing waters to wash over you and to cleanse you, so you can come into a new cycle and a new phase of your life. So, yeah.
Stephen, come here.
Thank you. Trido, what do you have to say?
Get over here. Quickly, get over here. Put your hands together and tell these. Get over here. Get behind me right now. Hands together. Say hello to these two ladies.
Hello. How are you?
Great. How are you?
It dawned on me something that when Amy was giving these teachings, I drag Stephen over here is because you can go back now. They see in your face. but he can hear me. He can hear me. Is that
he's seen half of your face? Now it's time to go away. Go ahead. Seen half of your face. Now it's time to go away. Go ahead.
Stephen is 20 years old, and these ages are wanting to get in relationships and love. Every time when I talk about relationships and love, Oh, TikTok blows up, everything blows up because everyone's wanting to love and be loved. I realize the significance and value of the readings is that, Stephen, if you care about her, whoever she is, you would take her to go have a reading so that you can know about what's going on in her life, that could affect the relationship. Kids don't talk to each other nowadays. They really don't. They talk to each other. They can sit in the same room and text each other. And I think that when young couples, young or old couples, of all couples, go and get readings, the other person realize what the other person is going through deep down inside, and they can figure it out as a couple. When you fall in love, it is two candles lit as one. Two candles lit as one, so that you can attack life together, intelligently and wisely. So yeah, I that just popped in my mind as she was giving the reading, and it's more informative about Taurus. Now I know about Taurus. So if I ever disrobe and look for a gal, I know.
I would say this though, and you might understand this being a fellow Gemini. I also have a Gemini sun in the 7th house, and so we have a proclivity towards language, and we're the messengers of the zodiac. We're ruled by Mercury, so God gives us messages to translate and bring into language so people can understand, which is a part of our leadership component. And so I also find a lot of times when I'm working with a client or working with couples, it's, oh, wow, you said something that I've been thinking, but that I didn't have the language for. And it's like, why, yes, it's why I'm here.
Yeah, because there are some students, like, they tell me everything, but then when I start asking them questions, I can tell that it's a blockage. It's like a wall, like right here, and I'm like, I play with my students. I'm like, what if I was the Buddha right now? Would you lie to the Buddha? Would you conceal material facts from the Buddha right now? And I give them this like very stern look, and they're like, okay, Venerable, yes, I did cheat on him. And I think that it's a lot of fun, and it opens up vulnerability, and it's just, communication is just good. And by and through astrology, the astrological methods, it can help humans connect, reconnect, heal, and be healed. Because the Dalai Lama said, look, y'all need to get together and reconnect, because y'all need to learn how to trust each other, because we need each other to survive. And by and through, psychic mediums, by and through people like Amy and Sudi, who's all into this, you guys are getting me into this. So, it establishes and reestablishes that connection of humans that we need, because you don't even want to know the statistics about loneliness. We're dying. Like, I think in Japan, 20,000 people die of loneliness in 1 year. So if this means to make sense of your world, whatever you knew or did not know, what was lurking or wondering, and about the other person, hey, you need to give astrology a try.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to add to this part. Yes, Amy?
Did you get what were you experiencing? Were you getting any hits?
Yeah. What I got is for Taurians. I know the Taurians here, they said it really. I got from your message is that sometimes Taurians are being so, like, as like what we hear in general, they are so balanced and they are so grounded, and they are one of the best quality of the Taurians is being persistence. And but that persistence has its downside too, as in we could get really hooked with ordinary responsibilities, doing too much every day consistently. And sometimes the downside is that we are more than any other sign, I believe. Our habits are so important, our environment, our routine. If you take, God forbid, you take a Torian's routine away, whether it's their morning coffee or, their bathroom routines, and, they don't like to be pushed, but they're very routine oriented, they're very persistent, and sometimes they work too hard without taking any break. So what I got, the download I got as you were speaking is, although these can be as really good quality, to be a hard worker, to be persistent, to have consistency in your to-do list and all that, but sometimes it can backfire in a way that you basically take all the joy and play out of your life. And you keep doing, and by not taking a break and being playful, that can backfire on your goals or your dreams or whatever. So what I got is, take it easy, let everything go, break down your routine. You don't have to be so hard on yourself and be so persistent. You have to work, and then you will see the result. That's what I picked up.
I love that.
Yeah.
And it's a nice mantra, or it's a nice introduction, just to say, I am joyful, I am playful, I am loving, I am, I have fun, whatever reminders that you need, right? I think that those, yeah. I think because we tell ourselves too, like, I'm so serious, or I'm so funny, or I get distracted with, like, you become what you tell yourself too. And so I think that just embracing that joyful aspect. Yes, I love that.
Yeah, Amy, I just started TikTok since Trido got 1 million followers on TikTok. I was so jealous. I said, I am not touching the TikTok. So my assistant kept pushing me, you got to get on TikTok. But my resistance was towards Trido, and I didn't want to get on TikTok. So I finally started, because they started running the TikTok anyway. And I did a few reels on TikTok, which are funny, and it's so out of character because I was playing with these filters they have there, different filters. And when I did that, one of my assistants, she was here, she laughed so much that I couldn't continue on doing it. But then again, I thought to myself, that was a way for me to breaking character, because everyone knows me as from this spiritual guru and this coach who's always lectured, teaching, giving out knowledge. And by playing out this silliness, using all these funny filters, it was just like breaking characters, reminding myself and my followers that, you have to loosen up, stop being so serious, and have some fun.
Yes, I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah.
That space of joy and imagination really it connects us to the divine, right? Yeah. There's the divine aspects to that we
Trido, did you follow me on TikTok?
I was not aware that you had I'll do it right now. I do it right now.
Oh my God.
And
Sudi Burnett, I know you haven't followed me yet. Are we just gonna unfollow you right now, Tridy?
Darling, I don't follow anybody. Or if there's a number on there, see, look.
Amy, do you see what a celebrity he has become?
I don't know.
Just said, I don't follow anybody. What does that mean?
It means
You're out of my list.
Well, I have a lot of rules that I have to. If a monk is sitting there following other celebrities wearing Victoria's Secret, he's not a monk, and he's not practicing, and he's not studying, he's not serving the people. So everything I do, it's like the Buddha's always watching me. But so forgive me, the rest of you, like all of my million fans. It shows on TikTok I'm only following 300, and that's probably the beginning when I started out. And you guys got to remember, the point of a monk is to give the teachings and be available to the people. But I have gone above and beyond any monk in the world to make myself one phone call away. Like literally anyone can call me, like right now. Like I get phone calls in the middle of the night, people wanting to jump the bridge or dump their boyfriends and trying to get over them. So, but yeah, we all got here, and hopefully everyone who's on my end too is also following Sudi and Amy, just because I realized how insightful today's conversation was. I actually scratched my head when I saw astrology because, yeah, just like the rest of us, I was just like,
You
wait
were
a
like,
minute.
what am I going to say?
Well, yeah, it has to fall under right speech. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it beneficial? And is the timing correct? And I realized that, yeah, everything that Amy has displayed and demonstrated here is crucial for humanity to have hope in the world and to have hope within their life. And it is exactly that lack of hope and lack of understanding that people take their life, and quite fairly quickly. In a world that is filled with despair, we need to borrow these things that have been around since, again, since the ADs. And when you look up astrology, for example, I've never seen so many citations underneath Wikipedia with the amount of research that they have done and the continuous research that they're doing, like evolutionary astrology. So everyone here plays a very important and vital, salient part of the spiritual growth and development. And Buddhism will not, I myself, as a religious leader, will not object to this practice. Um, and again, a caution to all of you that, yeah, we can get into anything. Just know the middle way of getting the information we get from astrology and using the best available science we know about psychology and making sense of our world, and not to be too attached onto a definition of something, which is the funny thing is that once they realize Amy giving the authority and definition of Pisces or Leos or Virgos, then they all start running around and pointing out to their boyfriends and their friends' boyfriends, and they're like, "Girl, you got to leave him because he's gonna do this." Because Amy.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
it's comical, but yes, it's when I have more time, I think all of us should get together and hold a retreat where there's is meditation in there. There's Sudi with counseling in there. Sudi is such a wonderful person. I think you get so more. Every time I come and check back in with you, you just become more wiser and wiser. And I look up to you as the teacher. Every time when I'm sitting here, I'm not the teacher. I'm the student. Look at how much I listen more to you guys than speaking the whole session. So I think it would be a magnanimous, a just the magnitude of our presence to serving the people one day, getting together and just realizing that they can come learn about themselves, things that they didn't even know, um, getting cues and clues about what's been on the shelf that has been left unaddressed. Sudi is so good with child work and the shadows. And Amy, you're so good at pointing out, did you know that this was lurking in your subconscious or unconscious or in the past, or things that you have forgotten to resolve in order to be and live a more liberating life, a more inner freedom, inner liberation, inner joy, inner happiness? Did you know that these things were still pending on your shelf, just like how you did to me? There were things that was on my shelf, and I know that, and I like it when people like bring it out to me and say, hey, this is what's going on with you, so that I don't push it away. And all of us push these things because it's painful. It's painful, so we just push it away and leave it on the shelf until somebody like Amy or Sudi says, this is something about your past that you need to look at. And if you want to live happy and not go to sleep feeling like this and waking up with back pain, bring it up to the surface and go through the pain, which is exactly what the Buddha wanted us to do, is to go through the pain once and for all and move forward.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Hallelujah. Yes. So I want to thank you guys so much. I'm sorry that we didn't get most of our time when we tried though, and we miss. Are you listening to me, Trido? We
Always.
missed to read the other signs. No, just kidding.
Offer this though to both of you. I would like, whenever it works for you, whenever it fits in for you, I'd like to offer you both a complimentary 1-hour session with me. So however that fits into your life, and whenever that fits into your life, you can gift it to somebody, whatever. I'd like to make that offering to you as of service.
Wow.
Amy, you are love. You're a sweetheart. Thank you so much. We definitely take your offer on it, and we should continue on this because we didn't get to do the other signs. So if you all agree, we're gonna do this sometime soon. Get together again and go through the other sign of the zodiac. Maybe I can also get Stephen to join us on board. He's a Vedic astrologist.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, we do a joint live, the four of us.
The four of us, yes.
Yes. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. And very soon we plan something, Amy. Tracy and I to set up it. Yeah, we come to do a retreat, the three of us over there in San Jose, and we'll see you all soon.
And before we conclude, how do people find Amy for these very, very special readings that she's giving? How do people find you, Amy?
So I have everything is linked in my bio on Instagram, and my Instagram is Amy K Philbin at Amy K Philbin. And so I think that I think I'm probably on something here that you can just jump on and follow me there. I'm also on as well at the Hypno Mystic Tarot. The Hypno Mystic Tarot is the other place you can find me. And amyphilbinsantafe.com also. So
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for reminding us.
And y'all.
Also, I would love a copy of this live. If I don't know if it records or not, but if there's a copy.
Yes, love. It's recording, and one of my assistants, either Sahar or Marl, will send it to you. Definitely.
Excellent. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Should we also pin your Instagram, Tridy, or are you? No, he's a well-known celebrity that doesn't follow us anymore. So
It's about you guys. It's not about me. It's never been about me. It's about you guys. You guys are so wonderful in coming together. And I learned something new today, obviously. And Amy, thank you for your time. I'll take you up on that offer indefinitely. And I want my students, if you're ambivalent or ambiguous about your life, to catch Amy's reading and then come back and tell me, because that's want to be one of the questions is like, did you talk to Amy? And what did she say about you? What did she say about you? and
that's so great. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
And before we shut it down, Amy, I recognize that laugh, and that is the laugh only Geminis recognize amongst each other. Right there. There it is. There it is. There it is.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
See you later. Bye.
Take care.
thank you. Bye.
Hello.
Bye, everybody.
Hello.
Could you guys? My other guest.
Okay. I'll see you guys later.
Dạ không. Dạ ý hay gì thôi.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Ok, cái chờ nhé. Dạ. Steven, how you feeling? Oh.